Hi again, this is John Stevenson. I'm Zycod's Business Development Director, and Zycod is the developer of the post-workshop Art Studio software application. This is the second in a new series of videos produced as introductions to the features of the version 2 Pro edition of our program. And what you're seeing right now is a set of outputs from post-workshop, all obtained from the photographic still life image presented first in the sequence. It's featured again in the next part of this video. Altogether here, though, I'll be constructing unique image filtering styles, basically the production of formulas for creating one-of-a-kind drawing, painting, graphic art, and illustration effects, starting from scratch with some of post-workshop's basic transformation components. So here we have the Pro edition of post-workshop open as a standalone application, and this is work in progress, viewed in the simple layout option, generally best for most inspection and review work because it has the largest pane for an image to sit in. To the right there are 3 tabs where individual projects and styles can be accessed, but where the important Properties plus Preview pane is currently open. Fully over at the right edge is a little arrow button which allows the user to permanently dock this tab in this location. This is now a switch into the intermediate screen view option called Classic Layout. It is likely the best for the majority of the active tasks post-workshop can support. This is illustrated by one of the very simplest things that can be done using 2 instances of the same style together. Now moving forwards, there are changes made to the brush selected and also to some key parameter settings for this second random painter style. The actual output no longer covers the canvas in full, as seen in the Properties plus Preview pane, but the changes introduced by the second layer are easy to review. Another thing of note is that I've opted to work throughout this video at a 100% preview scale. We are watching effects being introduced to the full-size input image in this case. And so, we are just one additional step away from producing a completely unique style here. The selection of a blend mode, and any accompanying adjustment in the opacity of the uppermost layer. Finally, there's a switch made to the advanced layout. This gives the user access to all of the cockpit controls of the program. For example, we can make global changes, accepted by all of the individual style layers, to our photographic input image now, such as, for example, a saturation decrease. Perhaps you will have spotted that Random Painter comes from the building block collection of styles. Everything I'm going to demonstrate in this video is going to be based upon this special set of styles. They have the largest range of variable settings and parameters, so they are amongst the best starting points for constructing your own distinctive and visually intriguing outputs. Embarking now on a use of a sketch effect for a further artistic transformation. I hope you'll be able just to follow along from the screen recording here. At the conclusion of this there will be 2 sketch styles compounded together and one of my original Random Painter style layers placed into the color blend mode. Now comes the final switch into the Style Editor tab and pane. Here are the 3 styles which are currently in use, and I'm going to show how a second series of changes and adjustments can be made via this alternative and very powerful workflow option. First, the Colored Pencils option is turned on for the pencil sketch layer, the foundation base for what's being built in this instance. Then an additional processing style, majority, which acts essentially as a form of image simplifier, is added to the intermediate sketch block. It's a simple matter of dragging out the connections required, output to input, node to node, and then making some parameter changes while monitoring things in the Properties plus Preview pane. The final editing in this instance involves post-correction of our very original random painter output using the brightness contrast block from the Color Tools set. So this has created an output image, a very distinctive reinterpretation of the original photographic study. It took a little over 5 minutes to produce, and it can be the basis of a whole series of further pictorial explorations, as we saw at the very beginning of this presentation. Next, I'm going to briefly review the options which Post-Workshop offers for saving either interim results or completed work. There are 3 different pathways. The first is to save a project file, essentially a recording of all of the individual steps taken to produce a result. This allows the user always to be able to retrace a particular workflow, from the opening of a specific input source image onwards, in its entirety. The project saved is available from, where else, the Projects tab. The second and complementary procedure is to save the actual image output. This is done from the very same menu item. There are 7 different file formats which are supported, including Photoshop files in specific configurations. In this instance, I save a JPEG format file into a separate projects folder on the host machine. And the third pathway is to save the style as its own discrete file. This is done from the Styles menu. It's also a very straightforward procedure, one which allows the user to deploy the same combination of style layers and blend modes for a different input photograph. And just to confirm, our newly made style is now present under the Styles tab. Finally, just as simply now for verification, the work in progress is deleted and it's recreated from first the saved style and then subsequently from the saved project. An innovative and interesting practice to follow and explore with Post-Workshop is actually to save small variations to the very same base style and then to utilize these in combinations. As explained just a little at the end of the first video in this series, there are all sorts of possibilities at hand here, from the use of what I could term to be the non-conventional blend modes, those that are not so regularly useful at all in purely native photographic image corrections, such as linear burn, linear dodge, and hard light, for example. In my specific case here, the final choice will be luminosity. What I've set running now is a slideshow demonstrating some related but alternative workflows. They are related because of the use of styles solely taken from the building blocks category alone, but they are alternative because a completely different selection of individual styles is utilized. You can pause the video playback every few seconds and use the screenshots as guidelines for a project of your own. It is of course possible to mix in any of the pre-built styles from the other categories as you wish. This is a cornerstone in using Post-Workshop at the getting started level, using the tools which the software provides in inventive and adaptive ways to satisfy your own creative visualizations, then recording the styles you have developed uniquely, and finally redeploying these styles on different images in pursuing new projects. Stick with the slideshow for just a few more moments. You'll be surprised to see what the outcomes are. The two natural lifestyles used here now are both variants of the same style I assembled for the painterly interpretation of the waterfowl photograph. From a duck, to alternative avian close-ups, even to formal portraiture of a beautiful young lady. Just don't rule anything out. Post Workshop truly is contemporary software, developed to meet contemporary objectives. And there really is an unparalleled range of opportunities and possibilities here. I hope that I've come close to uncovering just a little of the creative inspiration which Post Workshop could spark for you. Thanks for following along.